Take two. We are in the third day of January, the third day of 2025. And not just, but earlier this morning, I dropped my wife and my son off at the airport and said goodbye because they're going away for a month. And it was about a year ago, I was making a video with exactly the same thing was happening because they went away last year in early January, same thing for about a month. And the year before. Was it the year before? No, the year before it was in October. Anyway, this is the third time. Actually, fourth time, because one time my wife went by herself and I looked after our son here. Every time it happens, I always think, this is the last time. I don't want to do this. Next time we'll all go together or next year. But then it rolls around and you think, well, we can't really afford for everyone to go and I can't get time off work and it's always hard. Like it's just, I'm not saying it's completely terrible. Like in some ways it's nice to have kind of some time, some quiet time to relax without kind of having a lot of family obligations like I usually do. But at the same time, like most people who have a family, your family is your life. And my son especially is kind of, my whole life revolves around him. Because of just to take care, we juggle our jobs and looking after him and then just spending time with him anyway and then doing like his education, and so when that's kind of not there, it kind of feels very empty. And also I just miss him because he's like my best friend, which I don't mean, I'm sure if you have a kid, you know what I mean. You spend so much time with them that they kind of do become like, yeah. We play games together and read together and talk about everything together and watch TV together and drive around and kind of everything I do, especially when I'm not working, is to be with my son. And last night my wife asked me to move some old videos off her cell phone because she's trying to make space. She takes so many photos and videos that her cell phone is constantly on the edge of being, the storage being completely full. So because she's going away, she's like, can you help me? Can we make room on my phone? So I kind of moved some of this stuff on her phone to like an external hard drive. And I was looking through some old videos. They weren't that old. They were from like 2020 when we first arrived in New Zealand, 2021. And my son would have been about 3. And watching those videos last night, it was like, it's not a good time to watch them. Like I already felt a little bit sad that they were leaving, and then watching those when he was, it just sad is not the right word. Just like feel so lucky to have my son. Because me and my wife went through quite a difficult time trying to conceive. Luckily, we didn't have to go through IVF or anything like that, or any kind of, it happened all naturally eventually, but to get there, went through a lot of heartache and failures of pregnancies, and then even his pregnancy was drama-filled with issues, and it was really looking like he wasn't going to make it. And luckily, I think we were lucky we were living in South Korea at the time because their health system is a lot more responsive and accessible. And not to say the New Zealand health system is bad, but it runs at constant capacity. And so therefore, if you go into an emergency room with something that isn't life or death, they'll often put you on the back burner or just tell you to go home and come back and kind of follow up through at your GP and try to go through that route. And whereas in Korea, you go in, they have specialized hospitals for every area. So, there's, ear, nose, and throat hospitals and gastrointestinal hospitals and so on and so forth. And if you go in, they'll do everything they can to find the issue and solve it as best they can. Sometimes too much. Sometimes I think they over test. They want to give you scans and things for every little thing. But in this case, it helped us a lot. Anyway, that's 5 minutes, and I often think to myself, I shouldn't open these videos by blabbing on about personal stuff, because people look at this, they'll watch about CDs, and then the first 5 minutes I'm just like talking about things that no one else knows or cares about, and so they're just going to switch straight off, which I would as well if I was coming to look at someone talking about CDs. But as much as this thing is about talking about my love of music and collecting CDs, it's also about sometimes getting stuff out of my brain and just verbalizing things. I said in one of the videos where I explained why I did this, that it's very cathartic. It's helpful. And yeah, sorry if you have to endure that. On the way home, I kind of didn't want to go straight home because the house is empty and I just was already feeling a little bit sad, and I do want to kind of make myself feel. So I kind of went to another area I haven't been for a while and kind of had just walked around for a while, kind of walked around the streets, around the mall aimlessly, and then I called into 2 secondhand shops. Because it is the 3rd of January, it's early in the new year. I said this time last year that I was finding this post-New Year, post-holiday period, I was finding a lot of really good stuff in the shops. It was almost as though people had been on holiday, and during the holiday, they'd use that time to kind of clear out their houses and get rid of some of the old stuff, and they'd given it to charity shops. And so therefore, I found a lot of really good stock in the charity shops last year. Not as much this year, and that might have just been a pure coincidence last year, but I did find 2 things. This first thing, I'm really happy to get this because I was listening to it. I've never heard it before. I actually have heard one song. I'll talk about that in a second, but I've never actually heard Mr. Scruff before, but it's exactly the kind of stuff I like, of that kind of late 90s electronic, little bit of trip hop, little bits and pieces of other things in there as well, but it's right in that kind of area of music that I really like. I've heard the name Mr. Scruff before, but I would, if you said what's a song by him or something, I wouldn't know. He's a DJ, producer, British. This album's called Keep It Unreal, and this is put out on Ninja Tune. The reason why, so you see, when this was in the secondhand shop, this is what I was seeing, because you got stacks of CDs, and this is just like this, and you can see this part is upside down. You see, this is Cat No Zen CD 42. This is how I look at the CDs when I'm browsing. I don't look at the front cover of every single thing. I look for the name of the artist. I also, I guess, subconsciously almost, or kind of maybe not at the forefront, but it's obviously as part of what I'm looking at, is at the record label. In this case, I've talked about this before, there are certain labels that stick out. Warp, XL, Candlelight or Airache or Nuclear Blast. I guess in the case of Nine Inch Nails, Nothing. Even Island, the record label Island Records, which tends to be things that I don't really like. The one band that I kind of associate with the Island Records is U2. But that record, the symbol, it says Island Records, has got a little coconut palm, and it's usually got kind of 3 colors. That kind of sticks out as well, though. I always kind of notice Island Records stuff. But anyway, nothing here would tell me the artist. But because I saw Ninja Tune, and Ninja Tune is a record label that I've had for like the last 20 years, I've listened to bits and pieces stuff put out by Ninja Tune. I think the first Ninja Tune thing I ever heard was Cinematic Orchestra. I think, I might be wrong on that, but it was something either Cinematic Orchestra or Cinematic Orchestra adjacent. And so because I enjoyed that, it kind of always stuck in my mind, Ninja Tune. And so nowadays, whenever over the last 5 years, I've been collecting CDs in secondhand shops, seeing stacks and stacks of CDs, and I scan down. Ninja Tune is something that I will always take a look at. I'll always pull it out and have a look. So I pulled this out, unassuming, and I see Mr. Scruff. I think, that sounds vaguely familiar. Not the greatest cover art, but I thought, okay, well, I'll give it a try because it's Ninja Tune and I've heard of Mr. Scruff. And so I got it, and I've only listened through very quickly to the first kind of 5 songs, and I skipped kind of just to get a feel of the rest of the song. Like I said, really good stuff. Sounds like exactly the kind of stuff that I like of that era. Mid to late 90s, electronic, a little bit of trip hop. But interesting what they say on the Wikipedia. They usually say the genres and stuff on that. Yeah, sorry, I'm just searching. Okay, Keep It Unreal. So released in June 1999, electronica breakbeat, down-tempo trip-hop electro swing. Now, I think the electro swing song is the song that I recognized, which is Get a Move On. That's kind of got a swing to it. If you listen to that song, Get a Move On by Mr. Scruff, you might recognize it as well. I only have a very kind of vague recollection of it. It's not like a song I've heard a million times. It has a sample of, it's a jazz song by, I think the artist called Moondog. Hang on. I'm just kind of seeing if they mention what it might actually even say in here. Well, I should look in here, right? That'd probably be a better idea. Come on, liner notes. Oh, God damn it. It does that thing where it sticks. Half the booklet is over, another half is under. Here we go. Well, there's the artwork if you were curious. Is that like a self-portrait of Mr. Scruff under various degrees of influence of a certain chemical? Do we have any here mention of samples? Surely they would have to, wouldn't they? No. I'm very quickly scanning. I'm trying to see if I can see anything. Moondog, or what does it say on the back, maybe? Okay, well, we'll look at the Wikipedia entry. Oh, here it is. Here it is. The song samples, that's it, Bird's Lament by Moondog, which is a song I came across on Shuffle on Spotify one day, probably about 4 years ago, and I quite liked it. If you hear it, it's very atmospheric and moody and quite melancholic, but it's also familiar, if you know what I mean. It's like the kind of song you think, have I heard this before? Well, anyway, they sample that in track 3, Get a Move On. But yeah, this is kind of a perfect example of what these were both CDs I'm going to show you here that I got today are both $1 and really taken on just a punt, like not a gamble, because that sounds like it's got bigger stakes, but it could have been, and it often is when you do this, complete shit. You buy something because you think it looks interesting, or it kind of has an atmosphere or something. You like the artwork or the names of the songs, or even sometimes the record label, and you've got no idea what it's going to sound like. And then you get it, and it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible, or it's just boring, or it's kind of nothing. But every now and then, you do that, and it's jackpot. It's something that you didn't know you needed. Because, like I said, this is really one of the wheelhouse, kind of certain eras of music that I feel best suit, not best suit, that I like most. Let's trying to say it in a more poetic way. But it's like, for example, rock music, 91 to 95. Maybe even a little bit, I push that out even a little bit more and say out 96, 97. Once you get to kind of 1998, it's kind of starting to kind of move too far in a direction that I don't like as much. So those kind of 6 or 7 years in the early to mid 90s of alternative rock, I can again do that kind of thing where I take a gamble and listen to something I really have no idea about, but if it kind of fits into that, often I'll like it because it's just the kind of music I like. Well, it's the same thing with a certain brand of electronica, maybe more mid 90s to late 90s, kind of like Portishead, Massive Attack era. I guess that kind of, as much as that people hate that term, trip hop era, stuff that came out of Britain in that time, I tend to really like a lot. Whereas if it's kind of outside of that, if it's too late, stuff that's kind of came out in the later 2000s, I kind of didn't like as much. Some of the stuff that's a bit earlier, that in the 80s, sounds a bit cheesy to me sometimes, or a bit too housey. So yeah, don't actually know what I'm saying now. Anyway, very happy to have this for $1. This is what it's all about for me, is finding things you had no idea about and then becoming albums that you absolutely love and you had no idea about it before. This thing's been around for almost 30 years, 25 years. The second thing I got is different. It's the same, it's similar as in that it is British, but it is a compilation and it's a 2 CD. This was also $1. It's called Sorted, which is a kind of British slang term, isn't it? Sorted, which I think means everything has been organized and everything is correct and the thing you needed, you've got. 39 melodic indie hits. You can see some of the artists featured here. Why did I pick this up? It's kind of weird how the brain works, because there's so much stuff. There's today in the shop, the first shop, not as much, but the second shop, there was a shelf where I'd say about 100, maybe 120 CDs. And your eyes and brain just scan over them. And 90% of them, you're just like, no, because you can see, it's like things, sometimes it's just the font they use, often that kind of very, what's the word? Like frilly script, like used in, like you would associate with classical music. Like if you're doing Microsoft Word, it's the Vivaldi font, you know what I mean? If you see that, you can almost guarantee that's going to be classical music. And as far as classical music goes, everything that I want of classical music, I've got, and I'm not looking for any more. My range in classical music is very limited, and I have a few compilations, and I have a box set of 25, which covers many of the great composers of the classical era, 25 different CDs. And then I've got some stuff by Wagner and stuff by, was it Smenta, the Czech composer, and Dvorak. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing these right. Or I've got some Tchaikovsky and some Shostakovich and Stravinsky. And like I said, a bunch of kind of classical compilations. So as far as classical goes, I don't think I'm ever, unless something changes, I don't think I'm ever going to be going and looking for something classical, because it's not what I want. And that makes up the bulk of what's in the shops. And so my eyes just kind of glaze over those. Just no, you can go down whole stacks, go no. It's got a certain kind of font or a text, the way that it's set out. You can kind of, I'm so used to looking at CDs and identifying them by the kind of the spine part. But this stood out because it's Sorted. I don't know if that, but it's Polygram. Polygram is a obviously a major, or was a major label, and as far as I know, it's a British major label. I know it's a subsidiary of an American one, I'm not sure, but that was probably the main reason I picked it up, Polygram, because you think, well, okay, if it's put out by a major label, there's a chance it could be something. I have no idea what Sorted would be, but, you know, so I pick it up and I see some of these. And I think, okay, well, those are some of the bands and artists that I like. And so we got double CD. Let's see who we've got. Garbage, Push It, so that's their second album. Ian Brown from Stone Roses. Baby Bird, remember them? They sung that song, You're Gorgeous, from about 1996, 97. Bernard Butler, who was originally in Suede, I think. Echo and the Bunnymen. Pure Essence, never heard of them. The Sundays, Cardigans, Lodger, never heard of them. Suede, speaking of Suede. James Bjork. Semi-Furry Animals, Beth Orton, Dubstar, Skank and Annecy, Ben Folds 5. Not sure Ben Folds 5 is American, and I don't really think he fits in with the rest of this. White Town, I love that song. I was just listening to that the other day on YouTube. You know that one? If you haven't heard that song, you probably have, because it's been used on lots of advertisements and stuff. That was around the mid-late 90s as well. I would guess about 96, 97. And it was just some guy, I think his name was Joshi or something, or Roshi. I think it's like he's British Indian, or no. I think they say British Asian, because it could be Indian or Pakistan or Bangladesh. But he was born in Britain, but his family was from there. And he just made music in his bedroom, like he had his own kind of like bedroom studio. And he made all these songs, and that song took off. Your Woman. The name of the artist is White Town. The song is called Your Woman, because some kid crying outside. Where is that? Can you hear that? Oh, it's really wailing. I'm just going to look and see. Okay, no, it's right. His dad's carrying him, so it's all right. But it was everywhere for a while. It's like a really kind of simple song, and it sounds quite bedroomy because of the beat he uses and the little kind of sample, like keyboard samples. Do, 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 beep. And the bass, I love this. I think I've talked about this before on this channel. The bass that he uses, it sounds super kind of almost cheap, like quite tinny, but also quite, I don't know, it's just like a really catchy, bouncy, great song. And, you know, all these years later, I still, whenever I hear that song, I listen to it. It's a great song. And that, usually not the kind of music I'd like either. Space featuring Cures. The Wanna Dies. I haven't heard of all these. I haven't heard of Wanna Dies. I haven't heard of, who was the other one I said? Pure Essence. Then on the second one, we got Corner Shop. Oh, it's not Brimful of Asher. I don't think I've ever heard a Corner Shop song that isn't Brimful of Asher. Supergrass Late in the Day, great song from In It For The Money. The Seahorses, which was John Squire's band after the Stone Roses, which I've got to see the album of theirs, and I think I got rid of it because I just didn't like it. So speaking of the Stone Roses, we got them. Drugstore featuring Tom York. So this is the song that I think was on a film. So it's the one about, they say, it's a female vocalist singing with Tom York, and the chorus is Kill the President. Kill the President. I know that was used to be played on the radio a lot in the late 90s as well. Travis, Cast. These are kind of like very kind of second tier British indie bands. Long Pigs, I've never heard of them. I know Long Pig is that's like human meat if eaten, you know, like cannibals call it Long Pig or something like that. Reef, Paul Weller, Ocean Colours Scene, Dodgy, Lightning Seas, Teenage Fan Club, Primal Scream, Shed 7, Gene, Symposium, never heard of Symposium, and Pop. See, Sorted for ease and whiz. There we go. See how they're using Sorted there? That's how I've heard it used before as well by British people. Like, he's all sorted. He wanted this and he's got it. He needs it for tonight. Double CD. Huh. Is this okay? God damn it. Is this, what is all this? Advertising men's toiletries. Aftershave, deodorant, and moisturizer shower gel. Moisturizing shower gel. So, what is this like kind of put out? Is this like a promotional thing? A JVC camcorder. And this was from 1998. Jeez. I think this is something to do with this. So for him. So maybe it was put out in conjunction with this male toiletries company. Or they were kind of sponsoring it maybe. Or kind of like, yeah, like a sponsor. Like the record company put it out and then they paid some money to get their name put on it. How old are you? Which body spray aftershave do you normally use? Which products do you normally use? That's kind of vaguely interesting, I guess. It's put out by Polygram, but it's, yeah, so there's that again. I'm not British, so I don't know what SO is or SO for him is. Anyway, well, you know, that's, like I said, vaguely interesting. To be honest, there's a lot of stuff on there that doesn't look that appetizing to me, but some of the songs I do like. Some of the artists I do like. That's broken, of course, because it always is with these bloody reverse hinge things. They never stay intact. See how long that lasts stuck in there. Probably about 30 seconds or less. Anyway, so 2 CDs for $2. Not bad, if you ask me. And over the next few weeks, while I'm here alone, I guess I'll be making more videos. I'll be, at least for this first week, meaning from Monday next coming up. Not that Monday means anything to anyone I'm talking about, because you could be watching this in 2 years' time. I'll be, basically, my goal for the first week or two is to get around to as many secondhand shops as I can, because lots of these ones I'm planning to go to, I haven't been to for a year. I haven't been to since this time last year. So I'm going to cast my net wide and probably take in most of the secondhand shops, at least in my area, the North Shore, the Central Isthmus, maybe parts of East Auckland and West Auckland. South Auckland, probably not, because I've always never found anything decent south of like Onehunga. I don't know why that is. Maybe, I'm not sure. But anyway, so yeah, lots more videos to come if you're interested. Even if you're not. Maybe my voice could soothe you to sleep. Just some guy rambling about pointless rubbish. And you think, oh, this is kind of so boring that it makes me kind of drift off to sleep. Anyway, I hope if you've watched this far, you're well, and that you've had a good start at 2025. You have some plans for 2025. Not that you have to have, because that kind of puts pressure on people, doesn't it? Oh, I've got to, restart my life again and do this and do that. I don't have anything major. I just kind of want to carry on. I think that halfway through last year, I kind of made some positive changes. Started going back to the gym, which I felt has really helped me a lot. Tried to eat a little bit healthier. Not like completely, but certainly healthier than it was, and that's helped me as well, I think. The main one I want to fix for this coming year is sleep. But that is probably the hardest one to fix because my job is shift work. And so sleep patterns all up the wazoo. Yeah. Anyway, take care of yourself. Thanks.